name is Dr. Carol Trim, and I'm a senior lecturer at Canterbury Christchurch University. I've worked there since 2014, and I came in as a senior lecturer. And I've built up a laboratory over that time with a couple of PhD students and some master students, working on cancer and using venoms to try and look for new cancer treatments. I don't really have a standard day. Everything is so different. It depends on whether it's term time for a start. We have teaching, and so during the semester there's quite a lot of teaching, but also at the same time I'm supervising masters and PhD students that are undertaking venom research. So during the semester, a typical week would be I'd be teaching, I'd be running practicals, I could be running tutorials, but I also could have some final year project students doing their projects, so I'd be checking in with them. I might be teaching them how to do a technique, or I might be having a meeting with them to talk about their research and to see how they're getting on. And during that time as well, I could have meetings with my PhD students and master students to check up on how they're getting on. And that either could be at the university or it could be at Discovery Park, where we've got some laboratories there as well. So, and that's during term time. And I'd say out of term time, well, we have exams to mark. We have preparation for teaching, and we also have projects and conferences to go to as well. Been to a number of different conferences where I've presented the research that we're doing, and also it could be my PhD students or master students presenting their work. So it's quite difficult to say a typical day because it's very different every day, and that's why I love doing it. It's not the same every day. It's not monotonous. You know, it can be quite challenging sometimes in trying to juggle all these different things, but it's really good fun and exciting as well, and particularly when students are getting really exciting research results. All started at school, actually. So I did 3 science A levels because I really love science. I was fascinated by the natural world. So although I'm a lab scientist, I'm very interested, I'm interested in animals and going out into the natural world and finding different creatures. And but I had a really good biology teacher. He's actually called Mr. Bird, which is very appropriate. And he really inspired me. He taught biology in a really interesting and exciting way. And I thought, yes, I definitely want to keep studying biology. So that's why I decided to go to university and do a biology degree at Aberystwyth University in Wales, which is very out of the way, but very beautiful, and it was a wonderful place to go to. I got the opportunity to do a year out as well. So I worked in a hospital in a histology lab, but I got a chance to see all of pathology. So I got to work in microbiology, got to work in hematology and chemistry. It was absolutely brilliant. And during that time, I had the opportunity to start my final year project, which was actually a histology project, so actually working on breast cancer. And this is where I really realised that I was interested in cancer, and that I really wanted to understand more about cancer so we could try and find new treatments. I had this amazing opportunity to be able to do some work while I was working in histology towards my project. So then I went back, did my final year, and was very enthused. But I still wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do. Did I want to go into a job? Did I want to go on and carry on this research that I found really exciting? And at the time, I still wasn't sure. So I did go for some jobs. I went for some histology jobs, but I also looked into masters and PhDs as well. And I went to talk to some lecturers at the University of Kent, and one of them had an opportunity for me to do a master's with him at the hospital, at Kent and Canterbury Hospital, working on infection and inflammation. And I thought this sounded really exciting, and it's very, very rare. It's actually a fully funded master's. So I was like, yes, oh, definitely, I want to do that. So I got really, really good experience working. I did most of my research in a hospital, looking at a new infection and inflammation agent. And then from that, I realised how much I loved research and that I wanted to continue on and do a PhD. But I was still very passionate about the cancer biology that I did as an undergraduate. So I actually managed to obtain a place to do a PhD in cancer biology. There was a new cancer professor at the University of Kent that I managed to impress enough to get a place to do a PhD. On looking for surrogate markers of drug activity, so looking at how some of these cancer drugs can work better, and trying to develop a marker to see how well the drugs are working. So from that, I stayed with my supervisor, and I got on really well. He got some more funding, so I stayed with him to do some more research. So I did a postdoc with him, and then I went on to work in another laboratory at the University of Kent. And then I did another postdoc with another person at the University of Kent. And by that stage, the problem was that I was starting to get expensive. Now, postdocs, it's really hard to get funding for postdocs. Trying to get funding is very, very difficult. And as you get more experienced, you get more expensive, so it's more difficult to find them. So I kind of got to a stage where, well, what do I do now? The money's dried up. People want to employ me, but they don't have the money, which, it's still not, it's nice that they still wanted to employ me and they thought I was a good postdoc. So actually, I took a break from science and went into academic administration. There was a job, a secondment that came up. But it was using the skills that I'd obtained as a postdoc and a PhD student and a master's student, because it was actually advising academic schools on how to do postgraduate administration. So I could, because I've had that experience of being a master's and PhD student, then I could help with that. At the same time, I hadn't given up science completely at that point. I was working for the Open University as a tutor for introducing health studies module, which was a wonderful experience. It meant I got a chance to do a lot of teaching online, which I'd not done before, because I'd only done limited teaching as a postdoc. I'd done some, but the Open University gave me lots of teaching experience, but I also got to meet some of the students at tutorials it was actually at Canterbury Christchurch University. So when a job came up at Canterbury Christchurch University as a lecturer, then I leapt at that opportunity, and luckily they liked me, so I started with them in 2014, and that's where I've been ever since. Because now I'm a program director and I have to actually do lots of academic administration, actually having that role and understanding how academic administration works in a university has actually really helped me. And I think it's put me ahead of other people in that understanding because I've done that role. So at Christchurch, we have a number of different programmes. So we have a bioscience suite that's made up of 5 different programmes. So there's biology, biomolecular science, plant science, animal science, ecology, and that makes up the bioscience suite. And I'm the program director of those programs. So it means that basically I'm in charge of the programs and in the running of the programs. So I'm responsible for things like timetabling and making sure that the programs run smoothly, and dealing with and making sure that everyone knows what they're doing, you know, when it comes to things like, you know, writing exams and making sure we're doing the right sort of assessments and all that sort of thing. So it's basically, it's kind of, I'm in charge of those programs. My plan is I'm not going to be program director forever, but you know, but I think it's a really important role for me and my development. My plan next is to develop my research further, and hopefully get enough publications and experience that I can get promotion. So the next stage is either reader or principal. Uh, direct principal scientist, and then one day, if I can, I'd really like to be a professor, but you know, that all depends on, you know, on my development. I can't see myself leaving academia now. You know, I'm really enjoying it.